There are things in this world that defy logic. They question our understanding, our identity. Some are fortunate, or unfortunate, to witness the weird wonders of our world. Here are some of these people's stories tonight. Maybe you too are one of us who's seen the peculiar. You aren't crazy, unless you think sandals and socks are a great fashion statement. And if that's the case, you probably are. But seriously, those who have seen something, let us know, so you too can have your story shared. There will be details at the end of the video on how to do that. Hi, I'm jacobwilhellm, and welcome to Keeping Watch. Let's begin. You are driving along the dark road. It's just you, and you haven't seen another car for miles. The only sounds come from your rickety old truck, its headlights piercing the inky blackness. You turn your eyes away from the road for a second. As you turn back to your route, you see it. People are seeing things on these back roads. Out at night, on a lonely road, you never know what you'll find. Whether coming home from a night shift, visiting a family, or some other occasion, you too might just see things odd in nature. Something lurking, stalking the woods. As Reddit user Blackcrackjones witnessed in his experience. Well, this is the story of the night that I believe what some people in a car and I saw on a dirt road late one night in Alabama. Now, don't get me wrong, I've lived in the South for 20 years, and I am far from your stereotypical redneck or country boy. I hate country music, NASCAR, lifted trucks, and Confederate flags stem far from my interests. Anyways, on to the story. I have family that are good, down-to-earth people. They live by the word of God and are very humble. I was 14 at the time this happened, and my older cousin invited me to go to a party with him, my other cousin, and their friends. Me being the eager 14-year-old to hang out and party with older teenagers. I hopped in my cousin's pickup, hoping for the best time of my life. It was a night to remember. No names or locations for privacy and or safety concerns. We headed out about 10:45 to 11 p.m., beer and booze in the back seat under my feet, and we drove down a usual paved road for about 20 minutes and started down a dirt road. My cousin said to me earlier that his friend's house was deep down on a dirt road, back in some woods. I didn't mind. Well, we were riding slowly. Due to rain, the roads were a bit sketchy to drive on. A branch had fallen in the path too. My cousin and I got out to lift it from the path, and what we heard was something rustling in the nearby woods around us on both sides. Assuming it was a deer or an animal of some sort, we shrugged it off. That's when the growling started. A low, grumbling sound, and a large humanoid with glowing red eyes stood before us. At the scream it made, it suddenly darted across the road at what seemed like godlike speed. We immediately ran to the truck, drove around the tree through the brush, and sped to the house. We arrived and all four of us were shaken up. His friend's father was there, which was a shocker to me. He looked like an older, hardened, backwoods, cornbread-fed countryman who had seen some crap in his day. We told him what had happened, and he said, "Party's off for now, boys. Ladies, y'all stay inside." He took out some flashlights, hunting rifles, and shotguns, and handed them to us. We sat around on the porch, scanning the perimeter of the woods, and every so often, we would hear rustling. Our flashlights would hit the thing's eyes, and they'd glow bright red, and it would dart off. At sunrise, the noise died down. Without a doubt, that was the most exhilarating night of my life, without the party. The guy's father and I got to chatting, and he said he had seen the thing in that area many, many times. While out on a hunting trip, he had an entire deer carcass go missing he had hung up off the ground, dragged off. Traps he had placed, demolished. He spotted it running through his yard and nearby hunting spots. Needless to say, I've never been back there, and I hope I never hear that beast's blood-churning howl ever again. What's that old expression? If these walls could talk? Some say these hotel buildings still have messages for us. I think most of us would agree that some hotels can be uncomfortable. Traditionally, hotels are designed to support a network of characters, such as businessmen, honeymooning couples, and tourist families. Hotels should appear warm and welcoming. At some point, though, lobbies once packed with people become mysterious and shadowy. Wandering down hallways with darkened rooms flanking either side turns to a real test in courage. In these places, the mind plays tricks, inventing footfalls, laughter, whispers. Or perhaps some guests really do never leave. This story comes from AbunnySmile at Reddit/paranormal. When I was a child, I lived in a home under a hotel in France. All my family are really conventional and don't do or say things that are not good for their image. However, they always believed in supernatural things. One day, my big sister, who was approximately 7 years old, was awake at night because she needed to use the toilet. She took a toy, a small Polly Pocket that had a little light when you push on a button. She goes to my parents' room, but just in the corridor leading to the room, she saw a man, a miller or a baker. She was frightened, and the light stopped. When she pushed the button for the light, the man was not there anymore. Another night, we all heard the piano from the restaurant room playing by itself. My parents had a surveillance camera there, but they saw nothing. My dad tried to go investigate, but it was empty. It was scary because very often we were awoken by the sound of tables and chairs being dragged on the floor. Again, they didn't notice anything on the camera. My dad took our dog for a walk. When he got back and they approached the door to our home, the dog started to growl and had his hair standing up. Our dog was very calm. He was a boxer, and I've never heard him growl before nor after that moment. When they were in the restaurant area, the dog was calm and the room was empty. While we lived in this home, we heard a lot of things, but we never talked about this to anyone because my parents didn't want us to. A year after we moved out, my aunt moved in to our old house with her family, and they said that they had the same experiences as us. My parents tried to calm them, saying that nothing life-threatening happened to us, but they were still frightened. Above the restaurant was the hotel. Now, the hotel is for me the worst part of everything in this place. One of the rooms was totally normal, only in appearance. Sometimes, when you're in there, you can hear a baby cry. No, this is not on the street, nor the neighbors, because a lot of customers said to us that the baby woke them. There is history in that room. When my parents had bought the hotel, the previous owner told them that this room carried a tragic past. The baby had died in there while his family was at the restaurant for the communion of the child. Sinister, I know. When we wanted to go to the luxury rooms, we needed to walk down a corridor. This hallway was really oppressing. Everyone walked rapidly in this corridor. It was uncomfortable, and everyone preferred to have a normal room away from the corridor, even though there was no problem with the electricity or water in this part of the hotel. When I was young, I knew there was a thing in this corridor. The floor was cracking when nobody moved, like someone walked on the floor, because I could hear the rhythm of something coming in my direction. Finally, there was the attic. The light was weird with me, and it used to scare me a lot. When I was young, every time I needed to go to the attic, when I tried to turn on the light, I heard the clack of the light, but the light bulb didn't respond. I just thought that my parents were forgetting that they needed to change the light bulb, but one day I was really frightened. Like always, the light bulb didn't respond, so I started to search for what I had come up there for. My sister joined me in the attic and looked at me really surprised before asking, "Why did you not turn on the light?" Before I had time to respond, she pressed the button and the light was on. I was so scared that I darted out of the attic. When I was at the bottom of the attic stairs, I explained what had just happened to my sister. She said to me that she had a bad sensation in the attic as well, but we need to be brave and to face our fear. When we reached the top of the stairs, we felt a big gale hit our face. It was really cold. It was terrifying. The windows were closed. We looked at each other in utter shock. I ran into the attic, grabbed the thing that I came for, and never, ever returned to the attic. And here we are. And thus ends another episode of Keeping Watch. Those stories were really good, and I know a lot of you have stories you too would like to share and have illustrated. If you would like to have this happen, send your stories to my email at jacobwilhellm@gmail.com. If you like what you see and want more episodes, like and subscribe. For all the latest updates of Keeping Watch, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under the same name, Keeping Watch. For first-hand accounts of the peculiar or the paranormal, keep it here. Thanks for keeping watch with us.